today's lesson where we're going to be looking at multiplying fractions today. Now then, skill reminder. What does product mean? Well, this is the answer when multiplied. So the product of 3 and 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 8 is a product of 4 and 2 because 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. And the product of 3, 5 and 2 is 30. 3 times 5 times 2 is 30. 2 times 5 times 3. 3 times 2 times 5. So the product means to multiply. Okay. Now, if you're finding a fraction of a number or another fraction, you are actually finding the product. So 1/2 of 3/5 is the same as 1/2 times 3/5. 3/8 of a quarter is the same as 3/8 times a quarter. Now, when we're multiplying, when we're multiplying fractions, this is actually what is happening. So I want to find a half of 3/5. So it's 1/2 times 3/5. So here are my 3/5. I've got the shape split into 5 pieces, and there are 3 of them there. Okay. And I want to find a half of it, so I need to split this shape into 2. Okay, so that is a half. And then I shade in my 3/5. Okay, so 3 of those 5 parts on this side. And that will mean that I've now got 3/10. Okay, so I've got 3 of the 10 pieces. So that's a visual representation. Now the mathematical way of doing this, okay, so I've got 5, 6 times by 2/3. Now, when multiplying fractions, it's fairly straightforward. All I do is I do 5 times 2, so I multiply my numerators, and I multiply my denominators. So 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 3 is 18. There's no need to make the denominators the same or anything like that, okay? I can just straight away multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So this works for multiplying fractions. Now my answer here is 10/18. Can I simplify that? Of course I can. They are both divisible by 2. So my simplified answer is 5/9. So multiplying fractions, multiply your numerators, multiply your denominators, and then simplify your answer if you need to. Okay, so 1/2 times 7/4. So what am I going to have to do? Have a little think. Of course, I multiply my numerators and I multiply my denominators. So 1 times 7 is 7. And 2 times 4 is 8. 7/8. Can I simplify that? Do they share any common factors? Nope, they do not. Apart from 1, but that would not change my answer. Therefore, my answer is 7/8. 1/2 of 7/4 is 7/8. Okay then. 3/10 of 6/5 of 6/5. Well, again, remember what we said at the start, that of is the same as multiply. So therefore, 3/10 times by 6/5 goes to 3 times 6 over 10 times 5. 3 times 6 is 18, and my denominator is 10 times 5 is 50. Now, you could go really complicated here and start thinking about your 3 times, 4 times, 5 times table. The first thing I'm going to do, this is quite clearly simplified, because they both are even numbers. Therefore, they are both divisible by 2. And therefore, it will be 9/25. And now I can start to think about other areas. Okay, could it simplify any further? Well, let's think. The common factors of 9 and 25. Well, the factors of 9, okay, so the factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. 1 times 9 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. Nothing else works. So, I've got to think, do any of these factors, are they also factors of 25? Therefore, do they have a common factor between 9 and 25? Well, 1, yes, but that wouldn't change my answer. 3. 25 divided by 3, would that give me a whole number? Nope, it would not. And 9. 25 divided by 9, would that give me a whole number? No, it would not. So therefore, they do not share any common factors, and this is as simplified as I can get. Okay, well now let's look at something different. 1/6 times by 4. Okay. Now, when you do this, think about it this way. 4 is the same as 4/1. Okay, so I can then just do 1 times 4 over 6 times 1. That is 4 over 6. Do 4 and 6 have any common factors? Yes, they do. They are both even numbers, so therefore they will both be divisible by 2. So I can simplify this into 2/3. And there's my answer simplified. 1/6 times 4 is 2/3. Okay. Let's have a look at a trickier one here. 1/6 of 1 1/3. What I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to make this into a top-heavy fraction, okay, an improper fraction. So 1 over 6 times, because that's what of means, 1 1/3. Well, 1 times my 3, that's 3, plus my 1 is 4 over 3. Okay, so 1/6 times 4/3. And now I can work it out. 1 times 4 over 6 times 3, which would equal 4 over 18. Both even numbers, so both divisible by 2. Therefore, it will be 2/9. Can I simplify that any more? No, I cannot, because 2 is only going to be divisible by 2, and this is an odd number, and that can't be done. So it's 2/9. So 1/6 of 1 1/3 is 2/9. Notice what I did was I took this out straight away, and I moved it into being a top-heavy fraction, an improper fraction. Okay then, 3/10 times by 4 1/7. So again, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to change this into an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. So 4 times 7 is 28, plus my 1 is 29. So it's 29 over 7. And I can now work this out. So that is going to be 3 times 29 over 10 times 7. Well, the denominator there is quite easy. Okay, 3 times 29. Well, you could do this 3 times 20, 3 times 9 and add them together. Or you could do 3 times 30, which you know is 90, and then minus 3, 1 for each time you've multiplied. Okay, so 3 times 20 is the way that I'll go around it. So 3 times 20 is going to be 60. 3 times 9 is 27. 60 plus 27 is 87. So I've got 87 over 70. Now then, my numerator is bigger, which means I'm going to have a whole number here. So let's get that away. How many times does 70 go into 87? Well, it goes one whole time, and it leaves a remainder of 17 over what I was dividing by of 70. So 1 whole and 17 over 70. And now, I would have to think, can this simplify any further? Well, 17 is a prime number. So unless this 70 can be divided by 17, it will not change. And I can tell you now that it will not be divisible. So therefore, my answer is 1 17/70. Okay, so 1 17 over 70. Again, look at the steps I took. First step, when I had this number here, okay, my whole number, I changed it into being a top-heavy fraction, okay, an improper fraction. I could then multiply them, and then I have simplified my answer, giving my answer in the simplest form, and in this case, in a mixed number. And it's the same thing here. The only difference is I've now got 2 separate mixed numbers. So 2 1/2 times by 5 1/4. So what I'm going to do straight away is I'm going to turn these into fractions, into improper fractions. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. Okay, 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 4. And I can now multiply them. Okay, you might notice another way of doing this, and that is absolutely fine. Okay, I'm showing it this way so we can work through each step. If you have a slightly different way, or you've noticed a way that might be a little bit quicker, then that's absolutely fine to use that way. So I can now do 5 times 21 over 2 times 4. Okay then. Well, 5 times 20 is 100. And 5 times 1 is 5, so that's going to be 105 over 8. Okay, now comes into the part where I've got to get in my mixed number here. So you could break it down into stages if you wanted to. You could write out a bus stop method or any division method to work this out. How many times does 8 go into 105? Well, I know that 80 is 10 times. So 88 must be 11 times. 96 is 12 times. 13 would be 104. So it is 13. Now again, it's 104 with one remainder. And obviously I was dividing by 8. Okay, so I can't simplify this any further. So the answer to this question of 2 halves multiplied by 5 quarters is 13 and 1/8, as worked out here. Okay. Now it is your turn to go and have a go at multiplying the fractions on your worksheets. Now they have been sent to your parents or they're available on Google Drive. Remember to send your work to me as soon as it's finished, but definitely before 3:30 p.m. And there are extension activities on Study Ladder and Sunblock if you would like to have a go with them. Thank you very much, Year 6. I look forward to speaking to you very soon where we'll go through these in a little bit more detail. Thank you very much and goodbye.